Erev Tov, everyone. The obvious question that the Meforshim raise regarding this week's Parshiot, is why here it says that Moshe instructed Roshei Hamatot, the leaders of the tribes of Israel, and it's to them that he gave this subject matter of Nedorim, vows of speech. Why here does it say Roshei Hamatot when there are so many other subject matters that Moshe addressed? And it doesn't say that he called the Matot together, that he called the leaders together to instruct them. But he spoke directly to the people. Vaydaber Moshe es moarei Hashem el b'nei Yisrael. The laws of the holidays. He said directly to the people, why here do we have this intermediary, so to speak? We have the Roshei Hamatot, and they are the ones that are responsible for transmitting these halachot and this general subject matter. So we know from all of the mitzvot of the Torah that speech occupies a great percentage of the positive commandments and the negative commandments. The Chafetz Chaim lists that there are 36 different mitzvot that are included in the laws of speech. So speech is the one thing that really differentiates us from the animal kingdom. In the Torah, it says that God implanted within human beings a spirit, an intellect. The Targum says, Ruach Memalala, the ability to speak, to communicate. In the animal kingdom, one species doesn't communicate to the other. And even within the species, the generations don't communicate. The human race is the only one that has that ability. And that's the power of speech, which is the most important of all gifts that we are given. Moshe's excuse for not wanting to assume the role of the leader of the people, Kvad peh, kvad loshon anochi, I can't speak. Meaning that Moshe said that in order to be a leader, you have to be able to speak. You have to be able to communicate. And if one is lacking in that skill, then one's powers of leadership are greatly impaired. So in the Parsha of Nedorim, which is the Parsha of speech, because speech can create vows, obligations, be an oath. So there's one verse that says, and that sums it all up, Kol hayotze mipiv yaseh. Whatever one said, then that one is obligated to do. So if you think about it, that's an enormous responsibility. Now, we have in Jewish law a concept. Let's say I want to buy a building from you, and we agree on a price, but no one made a kinyan. We didn't shake hands, the handkerchief. We just made a verbal commitment that we're going to go ahead with this deal. And the next day, you thought it over and you decided you don't want to go through with the deal. Legally, I can't do anything. Cannot force you. There's no kinyan involved. But in halacha, there was a concept that the Gemara discusses. It's called the Mishapora. Mishapora was that I would have the right to rise in the synagogue and say that the Lord that held accountable all of the evil people in the world for their actions and speech should hold accountable you for not standing with your words, for not fulfilling what you said. Now, that has no legal consequences. Nevertheless, it was a powerful weapon because nobody wants to be exposed that way. Nobody wants to hear a Mishapora recited against oneself. So therefore, the Torah reinforced over and over again the idea that one is bound by what they say, and one is responsible. And the difficulty in life is that we cannot cancel what we once said. Today, everything is on tape, so But even before that, you can't erase what was said. And you're responsible to fulfill it. If that's true with, so to speak, ordinary people, how much more so is it true with the leaders of the tribes, with the leaders of the people? If you cannot trust their word, which unfortunately is rampant throughout the world, half the people in most of the countries don't trust what the government is telling them. Don't believe it. And in such a situation, you have not only a divided society, but you have a bitter society because there's no one you can trust. The Torah said, therefore, call the elders of the tribes, the leaders, and tell them these laws regarding speech. Now, these laws apply to every Jew and Jewess. It's not limited to the leaders, but it is especially important that the leaders should observe it, because that's the basis of trust in our leaders. What the person said is what he should do. And we see that breakdown. And when that breaks down, so then the trust in leadership, so to speak, is weakened. It's not even destroyed. And that leads to all sorts of problems in society and how people deal with each other. So therefore, when Moshe told the laws of Nedorim, of Shavuos, of commitments, of speech, he addressed it first to the leadership. That the leaders have to be trusted, that what they say is true. And when they promise something, they intend to fulfill that promise. And it's not only a means to come to power, but it is the power itself. And that's an important lesson, especially in our time, when there's so much division, so much suspicion. There was a famous story in the yeshiva world when I was in it, that somebody told a story. And people asked him, did that really happen? And he said, yes, it really happened. So then they said, well, if it really happened, we would have believed you. But we didn't believe you. So it must be it didn't really happen, because we have a sixth sense that senses falsehood. And the people have that. And that is the weakness of all societies. And therefore the Torah wanted us to be aware of that and address the laws of Shvuah and of Neder, all the laws of speech, first to the Roshei Amatot, to the leaders of the people. If they can be trusted, then there's a different air in society. And there's a different degree of trust in society. But if they are held to be false, then we see all of the fractures that injure us until today. Rabbi Hananya ben Akashi Omer, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'zakos es Yisrael, lefichach hirba lahem Torah mitzvos, shenemar Adonai chavetz aman tzidko, yagdil Torah v'yadir.